One of the things a lot of TV shows did, and I guess still do, because I don't know, I don't watch regular television anymore. But anyway, there was always the holiday episodes, and of course, a Halloween episode. So if you're going to argue that Star Trek did a Halloween episode, then Catspaw certainly fits the bill. There's probably a few others that could fall into that, but this one more than most, or any of the others, I guess. And of course, it originally aired in October, so there you go. It's a Halloween episode. So basically, you've got this planet they're exploring. A away team goes down, they disappear. One of the crewmen shows up, he dies on the transporter platform and has some, spooky voice come out of his mouth that's not his own, like he's a possessed corpse or what have you. And it's all this haunted house type stuff that they experience. There's witches floating in the fog, and they come upon this castle that appears out of nowhere, and it's all, spooky noises and whatnot. And gee, what's going on? Well, obviously there's some alien intelligence behind it. And yes, there is. So they come in and they meet this man named Korob or something like that. A Korb? No, Korob. Yeah, whatever. He's all decked out in wizard clothes. Well, that's a bit a little odd. I would have thought he would be like a mad scientist or something like that. Because, I don't know. I mean, in the wizard, it's more of a medieval type fantasy type thing. But it is a castle. There is a black cat. So there you go. But it turns out the black cat is another entity that can shapeshift and turns into a woman, Sylvia. And she's the one that's really the trouble. So these two introduce their abilities. They have the power to make things appear out of nowhere. They show that they can threaten the Enterprise. Well, mostly Sylvia. Korob just wants to find out about what people are like in this universe. They apparently come from another dimension or another universe, and they're not familiar with how life works in this universe. And so that's what he's interested in for the scientific reasons. They suspect it's for a precursor to invasion. Perhaps it is. Who knows? But for Sylvia, she's pretty wicked and threatens the Enterprise, and it's almost like voodoo, where she shows a little necklace with a toy Enterprise on the end of it, and she holds it over a flame, and then the Enterprise crew are in trouble. They report that, oh no, we're burning up and we don't know why, and oh crap. So demonstrating their powers. Meanwhile, they've managed to basically make zombie slaves out of Scotty and Sulu, and then eventually Dr. McCoy, and all of this. Kirk is probably doomed to do this as well, but then he manages to put the moves on Sylvia because he wisely figures out that her deal is she's all excited about the experiences she's encountering in this form she's taken as a woman. And she wants more of it. She's whereas I guess Korob just he had the fat ugly body and is like, I'm just here to get the info and head back home. I don't really care. But she's all turned on by Kirk's advances and whatnot until she reads his mind. And realize that you're using me. And that's actually a pretty good scene, because Kirk's sitting there leering like, and why not? Because yet he's got a good point. She's already murdered one of his men. She's threatened his ship and everything. And for all he knew, McCoy and Sulu and Scotty were, brain dead for life now, And so, he's not feeling guilty about what he did. Now she's all mad and everything, and she's going out of her mind, and Korob he turns on her. He doesn't like all of this and doesn't see it necessary and whatnot. So he agrees to help them. It doesn't quite work out. Apparently, because of her lust for power, she's become more powerful than he is, and kills him, basically. But she knocks a door down to a dungeon they're in, and it crushes him and all that. But they suspected that they're able to focus their power through this scepter that Korob had. And so they get a hold of that, and she's trying to get back at it. And ultimately, Kirk destroys it. And when he does that, all the illusions go away, and they're back on the planet, which is just this barren surface, and there's no castle, there's nothing there. And it's an interesting aspect too that they deserve some credit for this, because the actual form of these entities are these small little, I don't know what they were. They don't look that great. They're sort of puppets. They kind of touched it up in the remastered versions with the new effects and everything. But still, they're very bizarre looking. But then again, hey, they're aliens from another dimension. What the hell are they supposed to look like? There's almost kind of a Lovecraftian look to them if you stare at it a little bit. But the miniature version of that. Those things are supposed to be, enormously huge. And without their transmuter magic wand, they just fizzle out and die. Or perhaps, just perhaps, they were teleporting back to their world. I don't know. They could have been creatures that could have come back later, if you so desire. But anyway, so yeah, a Halloween episode of some extent, and it's rather simple explanation. Oh, these all powerful aliens show up, and they got to outfox them, and so they do. And of course, once again, undone by things they didn't understand. They don't understand emotions. They didn't understand sensations and all that. They didn't understand any of that, and she was overwhelmed by it, and it was her undoing, and so that's how they win. Yeah, that's how they won that one. Of other note, this is also an episode that shows how the episodes are out of sequence, because the character of Chekhov had already been introduced, and this one I think is probably the first episode they shot with Walter Koenig here. And the thing of it was, he was hired to be a Davy Jones character for the show because they thought it would attract young girls to like the show. But the problem was he apparently had a crew cut at the time. Hard to think of anybody in the certainly the late 60s or mid to late 60s, what have you, having short hair. But apparently he did. And so it hadn't grown out yet. So they gave him this ridiculous wig. So he could look like, like Davy Jones or the Beatles or what have you. And geez. It's pretty bad, but it's only for a couple of episodes, and this is one of them. And they've already shown an episode where it was his own hair. It had grown out and all that. He combs it forward and all that stuff. But yeah, so there's another indication of, oh, look, it's not exactly all delivered in sequence and so on and so forth. Unlike today, yeah. So anyway, there you go. A Halloween episode for Star Trek. It's not one of the best ones of the series. But it has perfectly fine themes in it, and science fiction ideas of what, again, when you come in this and you're going to criticize them for their depictions of aliens in this episode, who's to say, and of course you get away with it because they're trying to look like what humans are familiar with, and so they're adapting these haunted house tales and fairy tales and whatnot from their minds, even though it's really old. I don't know if they dug deep. They're suggesting they dug deep into the crew of the Enterprise for it, or if they were thinking of something they'd come across from records of the Earth, that it's just really old, kind of like what what's his name, Trelane did. That the messages were really old by the time they reached him, because about the expanse of space and everything, and maybe that's what it was. But anyway, it works out. And again, it's another example, I suppose, of godlike aliens. But here they needed the technology in order to focus it or what have you, or guide it, or to maintain it, however it goes. It's more technology than actual innate ability. But still a species that I suppose could return again. But I guess that'll never happen, because for all intents and purposes, I think Star Trek is over. And that's too bad. But we got a lot of old stuff to go through. So there you go. A Halloween episode for Star Trek. All right. thank you for watching and listening. Slay. Why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. You know, hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.